Right, 28 April 2024, and today I've got quite an action-packed episode with quite a lot of stories to share, and specifically I've got issues that I need to deal with at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. You saw yesterday I gave you an update on the marriage of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe Governor, John Mushayavanhu. And overnight, I've received even more information. And it seems like John Mushayavanhu, the governor, has been very, very busy. And this has become a very big concern to ED and the people around him, the security structures. So I don't know if there is a security clearance that is done before someone becomes a governor. But it seems like the people in Zimbabwe security structures might have missed a few things about John Mushayavanhu, and they're only starting to see these things now, as he is now the governor of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. Particularly, there has been various reports that Mushayavanhu has actually, I don't even know how to say this, dated a man or men in the past. And this is something that has been revealed to me by a source, and it's been contained in a security report that has been given to ED. And I don't know if that is going to be made public or not, but anyway, I'm saying it now. So according to my sources, that report is available. That says, besides all that we've seen in public, which is the fact that Mushayavanhu has been married yesterday again. So firstly, Mushayavanhu was married to a lady called Gracia Mushayavanhu, and that is the lady that was his first wife. He was initially married to that woman, and he had some children with her, including those that I gave you yesterday, Anavimbai and all those girls that I mentioned yesterday. I'm still going to get more information, but the concerning thing to Zimbabwe intelligence and Zimbabwe security structures will be the reports that Mushayavanhu was once implicated in a relationship, or is said to have had a relationship with a man or men. So that is something that is probably going to be very defining, because you know Zimbabwe, how this whole thing is defined and is seen in public. If this was to be in a report that was given to ED, that will have a massive implication on his continued stay as the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe governor. And as I said, the previous wife of Mushayavanhu is Gracia Mushayavanhu, and she was divorced from Mushayavanhu and was given a house in an area called, that is what I understand has been happening and has happened in the past. So I'm going to be following this story, and I'll let you know if I get anything, but keep watching this story. If that report exists and Mushayavanhu has been implicated in a relationship with a man or something similar to that, he is not going to last at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. So let's watch and see what happens within the next few months. This is very, very important, and we need to watch this. The information that I have received is from very credible people, and want to see whether it is going to result in anything or not. Now, I want to quickly move to other stories. There's a lot of stories taking place overnight, and one of the biggest stories is that ZANU-PF has won all the elections from last night. This is according to what I've received, and I want to show you some of the reports here from ZEC. So ZEC has shown that there was a big win by ZANU-PF in Harare East, and as you know, there was rigging in that election. So the ZANU-PF candidate almost got 3,400 votes. So that is given Mutimba Nyoka, and the CCC candidate, or the Blue Movement candidate, only managed to get about 1,900. That is Ropafadzo Cheza. And it's very shocking what has happened also in Mount Pleasant, where George Mashavave has also reportedly won the elections. So we've got two constituencies in which ZANU-PF has won the elections, and I'm going to be giving you those results on Gambakwe.com. I'm going to upload them within the next let's say an hour or so. I'll put up everything so that you can see what has happened. So this is very concerning because there was violence involved. Mount Pleasant, there was violence, but not as much. ZANU-PF does not have such a big following in the cities. So what they had to do was to bus supporters and also to cause violence in Harare East. So if ZANU-PF continues winning these urban cities seats, then it becomes a very big problem for Nelson Chamisa. But let's see what happens. The blue candidates have not done well. They've lost all the elections overnight. And this is very, very sad. So I like the guys from the blue movement, but the environment is just not suitable for elections. There's no need to hold elections right now. It's better to just leave this whole thing of elections and focus on the dialogue. Then we go into a transitional setup. Mnangagwa is not going to be able to push through this. This whole economy is going to collapse on him, as I've always been saying. Then I want us to move to Scott Sakupwanya. Scott Sakupwanya has got a team called Scotland, where he's now registered as a soccer player. But that is not all. Scott Sakupwanya is also attempting to contest for the ZIFA chairperson. So I understand that him and Magaya, Walter Magaya, one of them, would like to contest for that position. And this is part of the bigger ZANU-PF scheme to take control of the urban areas. And as you know, me and Scott, we don't see eye to eye. The reason being the death of Pastor Messiah, Tafumane Messiah, who was killed in Mavuku. And as long as there has been no investigation on the death of Tafumane Messiah, Pastor Tafumane Messiah, I'm not going to even pay attention to anything Scott does. And all his guys, I'm very annoyed and disgusted by these guys. And Scott, they disgust me. Everything that they do makes me sick because the death of Pastor Messiah was unnecessary. There's no need to kill someone for a seat in parliament. That is one of those useless things that I don't think makes sense. So Pastor Tafumane Messiah, always at the top of my mind whenever I see the name Scott in anything. So specifically this attempt by Scott to contest for the chairperson, to be chairman of ZIFA, it makes me sick, and I don't understand why such a thing would be allowed. But we'll keep watching. There is no way that Anna Scott will get away with the murder of Pastor Tafumane Messiah. They can try everything. They can even try to hire hitmen to kill people, but it won't work because killing someone for such a thing as being an MP is the worst level of disgust that I can get when I think about it. So let's move to other things. ZIG, if we go back to the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, ZIG is going to be available from Tuesday, and it's going to come out as coins and notes. And the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe has set up the limits. So it's $3,000 ZIG for individuals, and for companies it's 30,000 ZIG. For corporates it's 30,000 ZIG. So that's companies. And then when you look at councils and government, it's 300,000 ZIG. And that's how much you can withdraw from Tuesday. And I don't know how it's going to work. The ZIG is collapsing, it's losing value, and the 30,000 is just like 100, I think $100. So that's how much they are going to be given to people. So it's very little, but I think it's better to just make sure that if you're not doing bulk withdrawals, that money should not come out of the banking hall. It should come out of the ATM. And also, if you're doing bulk withdrawals, there should be a good reason why you're doing those bulk withdrawals. And similarly, EcoCash, Inbox, all those things should not be allowed to transmit cash. Then we'll have something that makes sense in Zimbabwe. We don't want the money to collapse. It makes no sense. It doesn't help everyone or anyone. Then we look at the president of Kenya, William Ruto. He was shocked at the decay in Zimbabwe, and he was misinformed about the sanctions. However, President Ruto has donated 1 million worth of maize to Zimbabwe. He was shocked at how poor the country is after such a long time. And he mentioned that after 24 years, he cannot understand why Zimbabwe is looking the way it's looking. He's very, very sad about the situation. And he only came for a few hours. So President Ruto was only in Zimbabwe for a few hours. Then he flew out again. So he only came for the opening and left. And he was surprised to see people like Wikino and the twins walking around with the president and no government officials. So you remember the pictures that I showed you of Wikino with President Ruto. This is very unusual and odd, and he was surprised to see this kind of thing taking place, and also the twins hanging around. So I don't know how it's going to come out, but to many presidents from outside the country, this is not normal. What is happening in Zimbabwe? You saw the twins there standing around at the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair, and General Chiwenga in Iran. So it seems like they always make sure that when General Chiwenga is not there, then they put these guys around. Then I've got General Sanyatwe is out of the country. He's attending a meeting of other defense forces chiefs. So I'll give you more details of this on Gambakwe.com after about an hour. And I want to see if he spoke there. So General Sanyatwe is over there. You know, that is the commander of the Zimbabwe army, but not the CDF. CDF is a much higher position, but he is the commander of the Zimbabwe National Army. So the Zimbabwe National Army is made up of the Zimbabwe Army, the Zimbabwe Air Force, Zimbabwe Prison Services, the Zimbabwe Police Service, and the Zimbabwe Reserve Force. So that is the Zimbabwe military. That is what is made up of, those are the groups that make up the Zimbabwe National Army. And right at the top is the CDF, who is General Valerius Banda. So Sanyatwe is over there. I didn't see him clearly on those pictures, but I'm sure that he's going to be back tomorrow. Remember, there is the burial of 3 heroes tomorrow. So Sanyatwe must be back tomorrow for that burial, which is going to take place at the National Heroes Eka tomorrow morning or tomorrow sometime. I don't know exactly what time they're going to have it, but it's 3 people getting buried at the same time. And I've shown you details about those people. Then I want to go to the Beatrice accident. There was a massive accident involving a haulage truck, and 44 people were in one car on the little truck. There was a head-on collision, and out of those, 16 church members have died. And out of those 6 are children, and you can Google it on social media. The pictures are not looking good. So 6 children dead in that head-on collision with the truck near Harare. And as I said, the roads are terrible. The reason why you have a head-on collision is because of those areas where Mnangagwa has not completed the roads. So that road is supposed to be dual, but because they've not completed the fixing, cars have to come together where there are detours, and this is where the accidents take place. There's lots of dust coming up. That road is not fixed. The roads in Zimbabwe are generally death traps. So if you drive around Harare, especially close to Harare, you are most likely to lose your life, especially in the mornings. A lot of mist rises, and you can barely see more than 20 meters ahead of you. When I drive into Harare in the mornings and I drive out towards South Africa, it's one of the worst drives. And to put on top of that the dust that is coming up from those areas that are not completed, Mnangagwa is causing massive death with these problems with the roads. The roads are not fixed. And then as you approach Bedbridge, it's the west. There are hundreds and hundreds of kilometers which are not fixed, which are dust. And I don't know how this is going to be solved, because the Zimbabwe government does not have money, and they're trying to pretend as if the currency is doing well, but it's not, because there are massive numbers of contractors that have not been paid since 2019. Billions and billions owed also to the Chinese. The Chinese have not been paid for the money that is owed for the Hwange refurbishment, or the work that the Chinese are doing. And eventually things are going to pile up. That is why I'm saying the ZIG is not going to survive. It's going to drop parabolically within a very short space of time. Now let's go to other news, which is, I want to start with Jace Marabini. So Withdrawal Chivayo has given Jace Marabini a new car. Jace Marabini is a singer from Bulawayo. And this guy here is Jace Marabini. He's been given a Toyota GD6. And a Toyota GD6 is this car here. Marabini has not been doing very well, but he's one of the original musicians from Bulawayo. So I guess they want to give someone from Bulawayo a car. And so he got this car. And I don't know if they gave him money for fuel, because this thing is a beast. It can, the fuel alone can be salary for a month. One tank. That thing, I used to own one of these, and it's not easy to run such a car. And then Kamabilet has scored 2 goals in a defeat of Chicken Inn by Yada last night. So for the first time, Yada won, and they're moving up the log. I'm sure that capability is going to be a big game changer for Yada, the team owned by Magaya. And then Wellington Warevi has won the 4-minute challenge at the ZITF, and he got 800 US dollars. So at the ZITF, there's a 4-minute challenge over there, so that you can have a look at the actual running there in Bulawayo. So that was yesterday. I now want to end with something very, very important that I've been mentioning over the past weeks. So women in Zimbabwe are going crazy. I'm not I'm not trying to say anything about women in Zimbabwe, but what I'm saying is a lot of women actually needs counseling now. So a young lady from Gueru, 20 years old, has been sentenced to 15 years in jail. So over this past week, I've been giving you all these women that are sentenced to jail. And this was for abusing the employer 8-year-old son over a period of time. And this happened because she was sharing the room with the child. So what I would like to mention here is two things. If you've got your son, do not make him share a room with a girl, especially a maid. If you've got a girl, do not make her share a room with a man. It doesn't matter whether the man is a relative or the man is a friend or whatever. Do not make your child sleep in a room with someone of the opposite sex who is not you, and it doesn't matter who it is. So even if your living arrangements are tough and tight, do not allow such a thing. So 20-year-old Stologo Hlenyati from Senga Gweru has been sentenced to 15 years in jail for abusing the 8-year-old son who is in grade 2. And not only that, she infected the son with an STI, and that was how they found out. So the abuse was long running, and you can go and look at this story in the newspapers, all over the newspapers. So what I want to say, as I said, is young women and generally women in Zimbabwe must stop watching those strange videos, because this is becoming a pandemic, and someone needs to step in, especially the older women, to counsel young women these days. If you are a woman around 20 years, 30 years, stay away from strange videos that are being watched by the women in groups and funny. I've gone online and seen what's happening there. It's very uncultural, and people should avoid such behavior, especially the women. We need our women to become calm and not go into the direction where they're falling right now. I want now to end with Africa news. So in Africa, there is a massive story in South Africa. That is the takeover of MultiChoice. MultiChoice is the company that owns DSTV. It has been taken over by a company called Canal Plus. It's a French company. And Canal Plus now owns 46% of the shares in MultiChoice. They've also entered into negotiations with Patrice Motsepe. So Patrice Motsepe is I think the in-law of President Ramaphosa. And so he is going to be the BEE partner in that deal. The implication here is that most of the licenses that you have for soccer, for sport, for rugby, they're going to be owned by the French company and not the South African company. This is very big because the license is actually more important than the company. And many people only watch DSTV for the sports. So here in Africa, when we watch Premier Soccer League, it is watched on DSTV, and DSTV is probably the biggest. You know that Strive Masiwa tried to start a company in the media industry, and it folded. That is because MultiChoice is such a dominant player all over Africa. And Canal Plus, the French company, is going to be taken over. There's also a big deal in the mining industry, and this big deal is still in the process. It was rejected last week, and there's going to be more details next week. I'll give you more details on that. But currently, that is the big deal that has happened. The MultiChoice being bought over by Canal Plus, and then Competition Commission is going to come in within the next few weeks to say if that deal can go ahead or not, if Canal Plus can increase the shares above 50%, because the share price is so low that Canal Plus is basically getting this company for free. So let's quickly look at what newspapers have published. I want to look if the Sunday Mail has published. If they haven't published, I'll give you the news tomorrow morning. But so they haven't published. and the Sunday News has published. You can go and look at the Sunday News newspaper. They've published news there, and basically it's everything that I've given you here. Let us now look at the comments and recap. So I want to pull down my screens here so that you can see what my brothers are saying in the comments. So let's start with Thelma, good morning. Melo, good morning. Tafara, good morning. And I want to say good morning to everyone who said good morning to me. And let's look at other comments here. Right, Zimbabwe zvino yazo nyatsowira pasi zvinorwadza vedu we. Yes, this story of Mushayavanhu and his messy love life is going to become a dominant story going forward. Just keep watch on this. I do not know what has happened, but this has come out. There's a lot of stories that are coming out. And then Mkoma Chimuringa says, Gambakwe media, Makuwa chete chete. Yes, it's Makuwa. I do not have evidence, and I will never have evidence. But all I can tell you that if a report goes from Mnangagwa that says Mushayavanhu has got multiple messy relationships, he got married to many, many women over the past few years, and so my understanding is that he has had quite a number of marriages, but this story of being involved with other guys, that is going to be big. You remember in the time of Gideon Gono. Gideon Gono used to be a player, like a serious player with the women. And I know a few things about what Gideon Gono used to do, but I never heard Kuti Gideon Gono was with the guy. So all I heard was that he used to love the younger women, and that was it. So let's look at other comments here. Koma Kromo says, Gambakwe a liar, William Ruto slept in Blawayo. Why are you saying he just came for a few hours and then left? You can Google it, Koma Krono. William Ruto left yesterday. He didn't sleep in Blawayo. He went as soon as he could. He could not believe how run down Zimbabwe was. So I think what I can do is for you, Mkoma Krono, if what I'm saying is a lie, I'm going to give you this shoe. Then you can give madam because I'm not lying about this. It's true. So I'm going to start giving away something every time I lie. You know? So imagine if I lie every day. That means I'll give something every day. Then Mkoma Regis says, Gambakwe, you are a big liar. The accident happened at Beatrice. The road from Harare to Mazungu is now complete. Why are you so obsessed with these lies? Regis, Mkoma Regis, tomorrow I'm going to take a video for you. I took video when I was driving last week of the road between Harare and Bedbridge. I've sent it to one of the ZANU-PF guys just to show him. That road is not complete. It's complete on certain portions. So I challenge Mnangagwa to drive on that road and see what I'm talking about. There are certain contractors that have not finished, and there are contractors that have finished. The roads from Bedbridge to Harare is only going to be complete in September, according to the official estimates. Mbudzi roundabout is part of that road. It's not complete. When you're leaving Harare to go to Zambia, it's even worse. You can lose your tires on the side of the road. You can lose your tires in the center of the road. Ask the guys who go to Zambia how bad that road is. You have to dodge potholes. So the whole road network that connects Africa through Zimbabwe is a mess. And that is why people are dying. People are dying. In Bulawayo, with the multiple accident in December, where more than 30 people died. Similar circumstances. A haulage truck is driving, there's dust all over, and they smash into another car, and multiple people die. So I will never accept what he's saying about this road being collapsed, complete. And I'm sure Mkoma Ria can also advise me here. I've been on that road, so let's give him a video tomorrow. I'll show you a video. Mnangagwa is not complete with all his roads. In fact, the problem with Mnangagwa is all his projects are not complete. The dams are not complete. The bridges are not complete. Everything that Mnangagwa does is left half complete. I don't understand why he's doing that. It's like if only he had done one project and then stopped, then start the next one. But Mnangagwa is starting this project and not finishing, starting the next project and not finishing. And then, did you listen to presented by Dr. Inbomandaza on the crisis in Zimbabwe? Foot to pavement is the only forward. Nick and Khadija did justice in their presentation. I'm going to watch Dr. Ibomandaza. I've seen the presentation that they're talking about. So guys, you can go and have a look and the presentations by Dr. Ibo Mandaza. The thing is, Dr. Ibo Mandaza is kind of academic, so the thing tends to go forever and ever. Like you can listen to that thing for 2 hours, and most people don't have time for it. Yeah. So I think let's recap and end this. John Mushayavanhu, a report being sent to Mnangagwa about his love affairs or his messy love life, which includes multiple women and also probably something about other guys. So if that happens, we'll see a quick and swift reaction by Mnangagwa if they find out that Mushayavanhu has been implicated in relationships with other guys. You know in Zimbabwe how it is. But this all came out yesterday after I presented to you the marriage yesterday to, also that was John Mushayavanhu to Dr. Tariro Mushuku here. So overnight we've received those reports that there are other potential damaging revelations that have been sent to Mnangagwa through an intelligence report. So let's see what happens. Watch very carefully what is going to happen to Mushayavanhu after these revelations. If that report exists, we'll see a very swift and decisive move from Mnangagwa regarding Mushayavanhu. And remember yesterday I was saying to you, I do not know who he was married to, but as I said, we found out that his last wife was Gracia Mushayavanhu, who is living in Blantyre, where he bought a house. And as I said, Mushayavanhu, very wealthy. He's got a big amount of money from his ownership of the FBC Bank. So he's not someone who's struggling. He doesn't need the job at the Reserve Bank. But this revelation is going to be massive and a big problem. So I'd like to thank you for everything, for all the attention that you're giving us as Gambakwe Media. I'll be back later if anything big happens. So if anything big happens during the day, you see me tonight. And if nothing else happens, you see me in the morning. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching.